Well, we might have had a disappointing season on the pitch at Nuneaton, but at least we know one thing for sure. Our stadium builders are the best around. Today, we move back into the Sir Tom Elliott Arena ahead of schedule. Hello and welcome to part 159 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our final two games of the Premier League season. We're at home against Palace, away against Spurs. Quite fitting that we're away against Spurs when we're moving into a new stadium early. And we are moving back into the Sir Tom Elliott Arena ahead of schedule. I'm sure this wasn't supposed to happen until the summer. I'm looking for the news report where it happened, but I can't find it because it happened last week. It gets complicated. The important thing is we are back at the Sir Tom Elliott Arena, now a 25,000 all-seater stadium. And remember, when we were at the Sir Tom Elliott Arena before, form was good, life was good, everything was coming up, Kev. So hopefully we're going to have a return to that form, because our form for the run-in has been a little bit pitiful, really. Lots of defeats, including a 6-5 defeat, the closest I've come to a 6-6 draw in the whole of FM18 so far. And I mean, it was just a mad game, a really mad game away against Everton. But then we thumped Villa and lost to Watford, because we're just a picture of inconsistency at the moment. On our day, we can be brilliant, but our day doesn't happen often enough, and mid-table seems about right. It's what the board wanted pre-season. The media prediction for us was 13th. We could still finish as low as 13th, because with 2 games to go, we're level on points with everyone down to 13th place, but it's our superior goal difference that's keeping our head above water at the moment. We have a far superior goal difference because of all those times where we've scored an absolute ton of goals. I imagine we've conceded more goals than all of these teams. In fact, can we look in more detail? Is this right? No, it's not. You go in there, don't you? So goals conceded. We've conceded 64 goals. So we've conceded more goals than most, but we've scored more goals than everybody but the top 3, if we pretend Blackburn don't exist. In fact, what on earth's happened here? Blackburn were down in the Championship when we were, and now they're in the Champions League. I don't really want to play anymore. That's ruined my day. I shouldn't have looked at this stupid screen. We've got no hope of getting back into the Europa League ourselves with 2 games to go, so it really is just a case of trying to finish as high as possible. We'd love a 10th place finish, or a 9th place finish would be even better. 13th isn't a disaster. They're dead rubber games, really. And this is the team that we're putting out there for the first of them. We've got Vujacic in goal, a back 4 of Robinson, Brodic, Ferguson and Coupler, with Wanda, Nuhu and McAllister in midfield, and Twan in behind Kerr and Jones. This might be the first, last and only game Twan plays here at the Sir Tom Elliott Arena, because he might not be able to get him back on loan next year. Thomas Rosicky, the Arsenal manager, has been moaning all season about me playing him out of position. He wants me to play him as a central midfielder. I think he's much, much better as an attacking midfielder, to the point where, as you can see, I'm playing Nuhu in central midfield today and sticking Twan in the attacking midfield because that's where I think he's better. I feel like someone's just pouring exhaust fumes into my garage. There's something on the back of my throat. I wonder if one of my neighbours is, I don't know, building a wall. Does that smell? There must be some kind of DIY that stinks. Mowing their lawn. I don't even. Does that smell? I haven't mowed my lawn in 3 years. Who knows? Anyway, are we winning yet? Where are Palace in the league? So Palace are actually one of the teams who can leapfrog above us. They're level on points with us at the moment. So a win against Palace today would be significant, because it would it would all but mathematically rule out them finishing above us. So it guarantees us at least a 12th place finish, so above media expectation, if we can beat Palace today. McAllister, big deep cross towards Kerr, nods it down to Twan, and he can't quite put it into the path of Jones, and the Palace keeper collects. As it stands at the moment, we are up to 9th place, so I guess that's Newcastle who have gone behind in their game, or in fact no, it's not. Newcastle haven't played yet, so it's just the fact that all of us on level points have just gone up 1 point at the moment, because no one's scored in any of our games yet. And now we've dropped back down again, all the way down to 12th. Palace go up to 9th, and we're just sat there looking miserable with Spurs, who we play next. So it really is an opportunity to grab this 9th or 10th place finish if we just get our heads out of our backsides. I hope we've filled the Sir Tom Elliott Arena on the first day that it's back open again. The last time we were here only held 16,000 people. So it's had a significant increase in size. And what a goal from Nuhu. He just does it so often. His long-range shooting, his long-range free kicks, I've never seen anything like it in Football Manager. His consistency and accuracy from positions like that is absolutely insane. I don't know how he's still an Nuneaton player. And one of my big fears for this summer, actually, we were kind of resigned to the fact we're going to lose Vujicic. I'm a little bit afraid we're going to lose maybe Wanda and Nuhu as well, because they deserve European football. They are too good for us. Likewise with Twan, he might have only come here on loan because we were in Europe, and he might have no interest in coming back for a season of just being in the Premier League. He might want that European football. So we could potentially lose Twan, Nuhu and Wanda all together and have a serious rebuilding job on our hands, because there's been a little bit of heat on me from last summer's transfer policy over the last few days. I'd like to point out, nobody moaned at the time. So, you know, thanks for locking the gate after the horse has bolted, folks. But no, there has been a little bit of criticism of my transfer policy for last summer. But can I remind you, before we get into another transfer window, obviously before tomorrow's episode, there's two major restrictions that we've got in our transfer policy. Major restriction number one, which everyone's playing under this restriction, but it's a little bit harder for us because of how quick our rise has been, is the Brexit rules. The fact that we have to have 8 English players in our first team squad is tricky, because they're expensive and they don't want to come to us, and we're not bringing them through our own youth team because we haven't really got one, because we've been racing up the leagues and people have said, Kev, you should have invested more money in your youth when you had the opportunity to. I invested everything everywhere whenever the opportunity arose. If you want to go back and watch the last 20 seasons, you'll notice that throughout almost all of them, we're in debt. There has never been any money to invest. We didn't start spending money on transfers until we got mid-table in the Championship. It's not that I was throwing money around on players rather than infrastructure. There was no money. So it's only just now that our youth team is maybe up to a League 2 level. So we're not bringing our own players through. And it's very expensive bringing in good enough English players. Charlie Jones is an example. I mean, he has come in and that gamble has come off. He's had a really good season. He's a full England international now. But we spent £20 million on him last summer as a player who'd never played in the Premier League. He'd had one good season down in the Championship. And I say good, he'd got 14 goals in the Championship last season. But as a 20-year-old English striker, we thought, yeah, let's spend 20 million quid on him. And you wouldn't dream of spending 20 million quid on him unless he was English. And we don't have the budget to go and buy 3 or 4 of them every summer, because A, there's not 3 or 4 of them around, and B, the money's just not there still, because we're still a small club. That's a lovely goal from Kerr, by the way. The other restriction we're under, which is an even bigger restriction for us, really. Oh, hang about. Let's just get this ball clear. Is our reputation. Again, it comes back to how quickly our rise has been. Players don't want to come to us. We have, on occasion, agreed terms with clubs for players who would be huge difference makers, and they just don't even want to discuss terms because we're just Nuneaton. Now, that was a little bit easier last summer because we had the Europa League to waft in front of people's faces, but even then we had plenty of players just refuse to discuss terms. And those who do discuss terms want extraordinary amounts of money to come to us because of our low reputation. So it is a challenge bringing in players who are significantly better than the ones that we've got, and English, which is effectively what we have to do. So we'll just keep plugging away at it. I warned everybody back at the start of this save that the hardest time would be moving from being surviving in the Premier League through to actually getting to that Champions League point. It wasn't, you shouldn't expect it to be a 2 or 3 season job like it was when we were in the Championship, or a 2 season job like it has been in every other league. It's a massive jump up from being a team that's mid-table in the Premier League to a team that can win the Premier League. And we're at least 5 seasons away from that, based on the size of our club and the transfers we've got available to us. So let's manage some expectations. We're not going to bring in 3 world-class players this summer because they just won't come to us and we just can't afford them. What we'll try and do is bring in another 2 Charlie Joneses and maybe a couple more talented youngsters from abroad who we can replace some of the other foreigners who might be leaving with. But that's the absolute best we can hope for. There you go. We're going to make a triple substitution. Naylor's a good example of that. Naylor. Oh, there you go. We are going to make a triple substitution. But it's going to be a different one. Carrascal's going to come on instead. Naylor, he's absolutely not good enough to play for us. Just not close to good enough. But he's English. And on that basis, he gets in our squad. He gets on our bench most weeks. But he's a championship player. And until we can find more Champions League quality English players, that's the best we can do with eight members of our squad. It's so frustrating. We need to fast forward our youth team a little bit. Why did I disable the editor? I couldn't even remember what it was called. The editor before the game. I just want to bump up my youth and fast forward 3 years and cheat. Cheating seems to be the route forward, but maybe not. Here you go. Look, we're 4-2 up now though. It's not doom and gloom. That's beautiful from Twan. We are gonna miss him next year if he's not here. He is just an absolute touch of class and young and English and fills one of those squad spots, and he would be the perfect signing. But when we tried to buy him in January, Arsenal asked for £200 million for him. So we're not buying him. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on another loan. But if you were Arsenal manager, you take a look at that league table and think, where are Arsenal? Arsenal are in 7th place, so they're only 10 points better off than we are. Then you have a look at Twan, who's now full England international, scoring goals like that in the Premier League consistently, probably over 20 goals for the season, one of the players of the year. You don't just bring him into your Arsenal squad for next season. Of course you bring him into your Arsenal squad for next season. Even if he doesn't get straight into the team, you have him around the squad because he's been that good. And I think we have to resign ourselves to the fact that we lose Twan and all the weight goes back onto the shoulders of Nuhu, which will be very sad. But, you know, he's got big shoulders. I'm sure he can cope with it. But, yeah. What is this? The Nuhu disallowed goal? Why is it showing us a replay? Oh, this is the Nuhu disallowed goal. So it was Twan who was offside. That was weird. That went back. Are we going to watch it again now? So, inexplicably, we've now seen that twice. I didn't ask for it. 3. Right, we'll just skip that now. I don't know what was going on there because the game had already gone on and it called back ages. Kerr's brought down there, but it's not a foul. Ferguson heads forward towards Hayes, who is also brought down and is also apparently not fouled. Brodic does what Brodic does, and that should be the end of the game now. And it is. That is a comfortable win, puts us in 9th place with 1 game remaining, and it should be fairly smooth sailing to a top half finish now. Fingers crossed. Just one change then for our last game of the season. Robinson is injured, so Joksimovic comes back in at left back. You won't see Robinson again now. He's going to Celtic, I think. Where is he? John Robinson. Transfer agreed to... Where does it say? Celtic. There we go. In fact, talking of Man United, and tying into what I was just saying about players and wages and whatnot, Gordon Barmby, you might have noticed him around the game over the last few years. He's been at Man United for a long, long time. 165 games or 155 games for England. Proper world superstar. He's earning £700,000 a week at Manchester United. Our total wage budget, we could afford 2 Barmbys and that's it. Not a level playing field, boys and girls. Let's go and play Tottenham and hope they don't have any £700,000 players in their team. Or in fact, no, we don't mind £700,000 players. We don't want £700,000 a week players. They're doing a 4-3-1-2. They're lining up Kev style. This is terrifying. We need a draw. A draw guarantees us a top half finish. If we lose to Tottenham, then we're relying on Newcastle slipping up above us so that we can jump over. In fact, no, we're not. We just got a draw. A draw and a Chelsea defeat. Let's just beat them. If we beat Tottenham, we finish in the top. In the top half, I think. Chelsea are 2-0 up and still only level on points. So actually, we don't need to worry about Chelsea. So a draw is enough. A draw keeps us above Tottenham. I don't know why I'm that bothered about finishing 10th rather than 11th or 12th. But I am. I want to finish in the top half. I promised mid-table. I like to overachieve against my promises. I don't want to promise mid-table and finish mid-table. I want to promise mid-table and finish top half. Because the game's weird how it defines these things. it will say 9th place isn't mid-table, even though it obviously is. Everything from like 7th to 13th is mid-table, surely. But apparently not. Apparently, as soon as you hit 10th, I think that counts as a top half finish rather than a mid-table finish. Even though in a 20-team league, 10 is in the middle. It's very confusing the way these things work. Right, let's go and grab a goal in this second half. Twan and Jones have both just been called up to the England under-21 squad for the under-21 European Championships this summer. So immediately we've scouted the rest of their teammates. There's 28 men in that squad. So I'm hoping we can steal a couple more of them and start building our team of under-21 English players, because that's what we need to do. That's the route to success for us now. We want to find the next Gordon Barmby before he's earning £700,000 a week like he is at Manchester United. That being said, if the existing one wants to come and play for us on £50,000 a week, that would be fine too. It also hits our quotas, even though he's 33 years old. I guess a man who's played 155 times for England would probably have something to offer Nuneaton, no matter what level Nuneaton are at. Right, Twan, potentially in his last appearance for the club as well. Jones, running down this right-hand side, can't beat his man. And with an hour on the clock, I'm starting to think in terms of substitutions. Jones has had another poor game today. We've got Jokic sat there on the bench, who, in fact, both Jokic and Naguera have something to prove, really, if they want to be part of the squad next summer. As ever, I'll be looking to strengthen with another striker, and I don't know if either of these two are good enough, so let's get them both on. Let's do a triple on the hour mark. Twan can get his standard ovation, and we'll get Nuhu up into his more comfortable position. In fact, there's 20 minutes to go. I thought this was the hour mark. But we try Naguera and Jokic, and we are thinking ahead to next season's team, because I would suggest we won't have both of Jokic and Naguera in our squad next season. It will probably be Jokic. We'll probably move Naguera on. But, you know, Naguera might get a hat-trick now and save himself. It's what he usually does. End of the season, he scores a few goals. He only really plays well in May, Naguera, but it puts good performances fresh in my mind, so he survives for another year. I think this might be the time we just have to cut him loose this summer. We've, of course, got Dennis Jensen coming back in the summer as well, who, last time I checked, hadn't played a single game for Rangers. So I do worry a little bit that Jensen will never be the same again. If he can't even get in the Rangers team, he's never going to get in our team, is he? Wanda shoots high from range. Leicester have now gone ahead against Chelsea, but with Tottenham beating us, it does put us into 11th. We need a last-minute equaliser to get us back into 10th place. Come on. Jokic, Naguera, secure your future. Next one to score is in next season's squad. No one wants it. Oh well, it's a bottom half finish. Psh, it's been one of those seasons. I think if we'd been at the Tom Elliott Arena all season, we'd be back in the Europa League. We just didn't like playing in Birmingham. Clearly didn't suit us. We'll be fine back at Fortress Sir Tom next season. Joksimovic going to pick up one last red card of the season so that he can be suspended at the start of next season? No? Splendid. Is that it? Are we done? That is it. We are done. So all that remains now is to see what kind of transfer budget I've got for next season. I want a big pile of cash. I suspect this might be the first season we don't really get one because we've not got into the Champions League. I am a little bit worried. So Man City have done the double. We've got pennies, squad bonus packs. So we've got money in the bank again. But as of yet, no budgets. I will return with budgets. But before budgets, exciting end of season stuff. Where are we? Nuhu is now in our overall best 11. So this is the best 11 of the saves so far, apparently. How many of these do you disagree with? Nadat still is our best goalkeeper, apparently. And Dean Linus is our second. Vujicic is looking at that and just wondering what on earth he has to do to get past the monster that is Robbie Nadat in goal, who is now playing for Newtown. Newtown's number one over in the Welsh Premier League. See, he made it to the Premier League eventually. We all knew he would. Well done, Robbie. Anderson, who's now back as our under-18s manager. I don't know if I mentioned that, but he did go and manage Gloucester, got sacked almost immediately, and he's been back a year now as our under-18s manager again. So James Ball's dropped back into midfield. Skelton's still in there. Josh McDonald, inexplicably, still a midfield player in this squad as well. It's a decent-looking team. I'd take that team now quite happily. All of them in their prime would be awesome. So this tells us where they are now. So Ibrahim, his career didn't really turn out the way we hoped, did it? 29 years old now. Probably shouldn't have gone to France. Or everything was looking good for him in England. Goes to France. Nah, that's all gone a bit wrong. Never mind. Sawyer's still playing for Millwall. Albert Richardson, I forgot he existed. How is he in our best 11? That's insane. Dan Fisher still plugging away. 34 years old now. Playing for Carlisle. Hasn't scored a goal for over a year. We just need him to hurry up and retire so he can come back and be a staff member for us. Although we can't have another head of youth development because that's already James Ball. So we might not be able to bring Dan Fisher in. Ruggles playing for Motherwell. Another one whose career didn't really turn out the way we hoped. He was never good enough, was he? Tommy Taggart. Only left last summer. Probably wasn't ever good enough. And those are the ones who've retired. End of season awards. We get Player of the Year for Nuhu, followed by Twan and Kerr. That seems about right. Goal of the season for Kerr. Signing of the season, Charlie Jones. Agreed. Young Player of the Year, Twan. In fact, Twan could probably be signing of the season. Although Jones, I guess, purely because of the fact that he's English and has the potential to get better, and he's a permanent one for us. That's our team of the season, which does look correct. Even the team of the year puts Twan as an attacking midfielder rather than central midfielder. Have we got budgets here yet? Still no budgets, apparently. What have I got to do to get some budgets? Budget's not disastrous. Same wage budget as this year, £43 million to spend, but there's more stadium expansion plans announced. If they're moving us out of our ground again, I give up. I just give up. Another 6,000 seats, £12 million to do, 4 months to complete. The ground's capacity temporarily reduced. That's fine. It's going to be done by September. Gets us up to 31,600 then, which is more than we had at Birmingham. We were selling out Birmingham most weeks, so it does make sense to do this. And it's going to be... So I guess that is just filling in the corners. Oh no, temporarily reduced as part of the North Stand will be closed during renovations. So what does that actually mean if we have a look at this? So we're going to be playing in a 21,000 capacity for like the first month of the season, and it goes up by 10. That works for me. We've also got improvements underway for our youth setup, training setup. We're investing lots of money around the club this summer so I can handle the slightly smaller transfer budget. It does just mean we're still not going to be competing with those spectacular players. We'll figure something out. You'll find out what I did on tomorrow's episode. Oi, oi, oi. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.